Okay, it's Tuesday evening, January 11th. Browsing a whole bunch of charts, and I'm looking at this charge point, CHPT. So I just thought I'd make a video showing kind of the interesting things that are developing here, and we'll see what happens. But this actually is the quarterly chart you can see up here. I mean, that's a very long-term chart. And what I drew on this one is the blue line. So for this whole year of 2021, it's been a disappointing stock. It was all the way up in the high 40s, near 50, and we've come down to 16. But all this is just inside the blue lines. It's just one big inside price action inside a very longer time frame, and now we're near the bottom of that range. So that, if this is going to be a whole trading range inside this big bar and you're near the bottom, we could be ready to start moving back up. So that's that. If I go to the monthly chart, which normally is the long-term view, you can see here we've broadened to the downside. So I drew these megaphone kind of things. There's a bigger picture broadening action. If we, in other words, reverse up here on the monthly chart into February, it could be the start of a move all the way back up there. It could also, there's a shorter broadening move where if we, start up, we could definitely broaden out higher up here first. So again, this is going to take many months to move all the way back up there, but let's, one step at a time. So then I go and look at what's developing on the weekly chart because, this is the interesting thing here. The way we're last time we came to the bottom of this megaphone, we had a weekly 2 down, 2 up, and we went up for about 5 weeks before we reversed lower. So now what's forming here, we had one of the, a 3 bar, which is typically broadening action on a very small time frame, but then we're setting up here for a 3. What I wrote up here is a 3-2-2, where we get 3, 2 down, 2 up. That would be a great reversal signal, but that's going to happen next week. We still have 2 days to go in this week, and then you'd need to break higher, make a higher high on Monday or so, or Tuesday, and then that would, be the same type of strat signal as you got back here. This was a 2 down, 2 up. This would be a 3-2-2, which is actually, I think, even a better signal near a bottom, given you're trying to broaden to the downside in an overall broadening situation, but you fail and then you start back up. But that, is only going to take place next week. But then on the daily chart, what you have here, and I wanted to show on this chart here on the daily, this is how, even though the weekly turned up with a 2 down, 2 up, the daily sort of had, maybe it had a very small 2 down, 2 up too, which eventually paused with a 1 and then started higher to trigger that weekly chart. So you can see the way the daily chart on the very first move could possibly start up and start that trend up. So that's what I'm looking at here. Let me zoom it in a little more. What's interesting, and also note the way you had a pivot machine gun here prior to that turn up, and that's what you have developing here. So if I go to the daily chart and zoom it in a little, I'm doing this by hand, what you have tomorrow is the 2 down, 1 inside bar today. And if you can get the 2 entry, that is a strat signal. You have this pivot machine gun here. I'm showing that. So tomorrow could literally be the day where this signal maybe triggers some kind of big price action. Given the pivot machine gun starting up, it turns the weekly next week into a 3-2-2 up. And we eventually, have a reversal on the month. We have to get above the opening price on the month, which looks like it's 1990. So let's say somewhere up here, that's where it started, where it's 16. So if all this stuff triggers on the lower time frames, and we can break above the open of January sometime later this month, that can turn this trend, the monthly chart green, and we could be heading higher as well on a kind of a 2 down, 2 up on the monthly chart. So it's a whole bunch of things developing, but it's pretty, it's not risky necessarily because you can keep your stop really tight. But, the question is the very first move in such a big downtrend going to be the final, the perfect bottom that's going to start charge point all the way back up again? It's very possible, that's what the strat's all about, broadening to the downside. And eventually, that's the key time to be getting in. So, and, the way the strat actually teaches you to do it or recommends you do it is to take a very small starter position here. So if you lose, you kind of throw the first punch. If you lose, then you take out small loss and you maybe try again. And if it starts up, then you can kind of add to that position because then you're really once it's confirmed with all these different daily to the weekly and then maybe to the monthly, then you kind of know things have changed and you can start adding to the position, knowing you started small here and you got the confirmation. So anyway, that's it. I just thought it's an interesting chart, especially this pivot machine gun kind of thing relative to what happened back in October. So something you might want to consider for a longer term play right